Abby was a college student. Every day before classes, she packed a sandwich for lunch. And her meal disappeared from her backpack every single time. After Abby was left hungry once again, she got very angry and decided to track down the thief. The next day, she left her bag in the classroom, hid in a locker, and started waiting. Abby noticed someone pull the sandwich out of the backpack, but she didn't see their face. She decided to ask everyone about the stolen sandwich. Liam said, "How dare you? I only eat fruit salads." Jason said, "My granny made this sandwich for me." And Chuck said that he just bought his sandwich in the school vending machine. Who's lying? Abby didn't have lettuce in her sandwich, so it must be Jason who stole it. Abby passed her first test in college and decided to throw a party. She invited all of her friends. That was also the evening when Abby found out that one of them wasn't human. Can you tell who? It's Henry. Both of his shoes are for the right foot. During spring break, Abby organized a garage sale to sell some of her old dresses. After a while, Abby got her first customer, Tina. The girl picked only one dress and asked Abby, "How much for this dress?" Abby answered, $30. Tina didn't want to spend that much, so she asked, "Could you sell it for $20? Abby agreed. Tina gave her $50, but Abby didn't have any change, so she went to her neighbor to ask for help. The neighbor gave Abby 3 notes, 2 20s and 1 $10 note. Abby came back, gave $30 to Tina, and put the remaining $20 in her wallet. A few minutes later, the neighbor ran into Abby's garage and shouted, "That note you gave me is fake! Give me my money back!" Abby had to give the man her own money. How much money did she lose? Well, firstly, Abby gave away the dress for free, and its full price was $30 before the discount. Then she had to pay $30 out of her own pocket to her neighbor. So, Abby lost a total of $60. Abby invited her best friend Nina to go skating in the park. Soon, they got really hungry and decided to buy some burgers. They chose similar toppings and added lots of sauces. 10 minutes later, Nina got very sick. Abby had to call 911. Paramedics took the girl to a hospital and diagnosed severe poisoning. Can you tell which sauce was poisoned? This one. Abby didn't use any garlic sauce. When Nina got better, Abby took her for a walk. They spotted the spookiest house in the neighborhood and decided to check it. That was a big mistake. When they got inside, the door behind them suddenly disappeared. Now they have 3 ways out. There's a zombie behind the first door. A creepy vampire is waiting behind the second door. And there's an angry ghost behind the third door. Which way is the safest? They should choose the third door. Ghosts may be spooky, but they can't cause any real harm. Okay, well, maybe you might get slimed, but... Nina and Abby found themselves in the next room. The door leading outside was open, and they ran toward it. But an old witch popped out of nowhere and yelled,
"Not so fast! You've got to solve my riddle first! Why are these words in such an order?"
Nina and Abby failed to crack this riddle. What about you? Here's the correct answer. The words rhyme with 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's why they're in this order. The witch teleported Nina and Abby to her basement, but the girls didn't give up and found 3 ways out again. The room behind the first door was filled with toxic gas. It was extremely harmful to their lungs and skin. There was a 300-pound weight above the second door. It'll crush anyone or anything that steps inside. And a hungry tiger was waiting behind the third door. Abby and Nina hesitated for a while and made the right choice. Which door did they choose? Nina took off her boot and threw it on the floor in the second room. The weight crushed the boot, and the girls ran into the room and closed the door. After that, they escaped through the window. Unfortunately, they got lost in a magical forest. It was cold since it was winter. After wandering around for a while, they saw 3 roads. All of them seemed dangerous. If they picked the road leading to the left, they'd have to go past some hungry wolves. And if they went straight ahead, they'd have to go through a village where werewolves lived. And the third path went over a lake covered with thin ice that could crack at any moment. Which way should they choose? They should follow the second path. Look at the sky. It's a new moon, and werewolves are only dangerous during a full moon. Nina and Abby got home safely. But someone had burgled their apartment while they were absent. They called the police, and they questioned 3 neighbors. Jeff said, "I was away all weekend, fishing with my friends." Holly said, "I didn't leave my home. I was painting the walls in my apartment all weekend. I love bright colors, you know." And Lucy said that she'd been singing karaoke with her friends and hadn't heard anything suspicious. Who's lying? Holly. The walls in her apartment are mostly white, but she said that she'd painted them in some bright colors. Nina got a job in a bookstore. On her first day at work, she found a vintage watch on the floor. 3 people came over to claim it. Kevin said that he'd bought this watch when he got his first salary many years ago. Violet said that she'd inherited the watch from her grandfather. And Dylan said, "This watch is priceless. My wife gave it to me for our 5th anniversary." Can you tell who owns this watch? It's Violet. She has the narrowest wrist. That's why the girl made an extra hole. Otherwise, the watch would slip off her hand. Abby went on a date with Jerry. He invited her over. But as soon as Abby got inside his apartment, Jerry turned into an evil wizard. He decided to make fun of her and said, "I'll give you a chance to get free. Just make me breakfast tomorrow. If it's good enough, I'll let you go. And if it's bad, you'll stay here forever." The next morning, Abby came to the kitchen and began cooking. When she turned away from the stove, Jerry added a whole box of salt to the pot. But when Abby served breakfast, Jerry understood that he'd have to let Abby go. What did she cook? She cooked boiled eggs. Abby got a new job. She had to assist a railroad supervisor. One day, they faced a huge problem. A faster train was approaching a slower one. According to the schedule, the slower train had to let the faster train go first. Abby offered to use an auxiliary railway line, but it was too short for the slower train. Abby didn't know what to do, but finally, she found the solution. What did she realize? The faster train should use the auxiliary railway line. Now the slower train can move back. When the main railway line is free, the faster train can go first. Abby got a note which said that a vampire family had moved into one of the houses in the neighborhood. Abby wanted to find evidence that vampires didn't exist. She found the street she needed. There were 3 houses there. Which house looked suspicious? Look at the footprints. They're pretty weird. They lead to and from houses A and C. It means people must come and leave these houses. As for house B, the footprints only lead inside. So this must be the vampire's house. Abby told Nina about her adventures, but her friend didn't believe her. So the next night, Nina decided to go into the house on her own. Once she walked through the door, it got locked behind her back. Nina wandered around and found 3 doors. They looked the same, but the symbols on them were different. Suddenly, a creepy voice announced,
"The only way to escape safely is to exit through the 5th door."
"The only way to escape safely is to exit through the 5th door." But there were only 3 doors. Which door should Nina choose? Take a look at the symbols. They're actually numbers turned toward each other. So Nina should choose the first door. This symbol is made up of 2 5s looking at each other. This must be the 5th door the girl needs. A theft happened in Abby and Nina's college. The police caught 3 suspects. The detective's task was to identify which suspect was a robot. There were several items on the table in front of him: a kitchen knife, a bottle of water, a screwdriver, and a marker. Abby said that she knew how to recognize the robot. What should they do? The detective should ask each of them to drink water from the bottle. The robot will either refuse or experience a short circuit. One day, Abby decided to go visit her granny. The woman lived alone in the countryside. There were only a few stores near her house. There was nowhere to go and no one to talk to. Abby was sick and tired of her city life and wanted to breathe some fresh air for a few weeks. Her boyfriend, Chuck, didn't mind. The next day after Abby left, he sent her a message to find out how she was doing. Abby told him that everything was fine and even sent him a selfie. Chuck looked at the picture and understood that Abby was lying. How did he know? Take a look at the car. There's a movies sign reflected in the windshield.